Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today's sponsor is, as you can guess, our favorite Manscaped.com. Yeah, the ones that are taking over the world, giving you international shipping to Canada, the United States, Australia, the UK, Europe, Singapore, and South Africa. And why are they doing this? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's because they got the Performance Package 4.0, the perfect toolkit for the family jewels. The first stop in luxury nut shaving comes at the Lawnmower 4.0, and as you can hear it whir, it's got replaceable ceramic blades with skin-safe technology. Not 5 minutes ago did I put this thing up to my balls. In fact, I felt so comfortable that I was going to stick it in the black hole, and it actually didn't hurt. Thank God for that one. I'm sure that the Manscaped engineering team has a shrine to CERN and NASA somewhere, because they have got some beautiful, cool wireless charging and a travel lock feature, which means this thing doesn't start buzzing when you're flying out, which is great for somebody, again, ethnically challenged like I am. Beyond the trimmer of the universe, they've also got Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray, which makes your little asteroids feel even better. Manscaped has also went beyond just shaving the balls to also cleaning out nose and ear hair with their Weed Whacker trimmer. I'm telling you, when you're plucking those nose hairs like the old-fashioned way, it hurts. This makes sure it's nowhere close to that level of pain, and nobody needs pain in their life. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get the Peak Hygiene plan right now, you can actually get ongoing refreshments of some of your favorite Manscaped products. In fact, if you go right now limited, you'll get 2 free gifts, a travel bag and anti-chafing boxer briefs. And I always wear the boxer briefs. So yeah, go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free international shipping with 2 free gifts when you use promo code SOG at checkout. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff. Your balls and your body will thank you. Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and ladies and gentlemen, do I have a bit of an update. Of course, you can tell by the title, whoa, a block game and me being healed. Now ladies and gentlemen, before I begin this video, I want anybody to take this video as just me giving you my experience. If you have sleep paralysis like me and you're trying to get a cure, go to a doctor. Do not take anything I say in this video as any form of medical information or anything. It's not that. This is just my experience. Now 7 months ago, I made a video where I talked about sleeping in Minecraft for a month, right? Where I passed out and I slept into it. To give you the full context of the story, this is like a 3-part series. So basically, the entire thing began, some of the best content on my channel comes out as a mistake. And in this case, I was playing Minecraft on the PlayStation VR one time on Twitch. I laid down in my comfy bed and I passed out looking at this Minecraft stars. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I passed out for like 20-30 minutes and I woke up in the world of Minecraft.
What the fuck?
So like some of your favorite animes like Sword Art Online or Dot Hack, I woke up in my MMO world. I don't know if you... Actually, do you wake up? I haven't watched the Dot Hack anime. I just played the game. But ladies and gentlemen, I woke up in basically Minecraft Matrix, okay? Now ever since that happy accident, I decided to double down on my experiment. And so I bought PC Virtual Reality. I basically got Minecraft set up and I started using shaders to sleep in Minecraft. Now, to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want to get down into is why does my Minecraft look so good? In order to make myself more immersed, I use ray tracing shaders. At this point, Minecraft is the most graphically demanding game that I play on my computer, okay? And I'm not joking about that. Minecraft itself isn't exactly graphically intensive. I mean, seriously, anybody can run it on any modern computer. But when you invite shaders into the mix, which are basically tool sets that actually enhance the Minecraft engine by adding shadows, by adding new lighting, by adding various graphical effects that were never in the engine beforehand. And in one case, the most computationally expensive one that I use is Path Tracing Global Illumination by Sonic Ether. Now, at this point, I ended up going to his Patreon and paying for about a month month to download these shaders, and then I ended up canceling my subscription later. A lot of it is just the whole Patreon doesn't get updated too much, but I don't want to jump into that or throw that much shade. I also went to UMSOA for texture packs, which basically this is more of like a screenshot-based texture pack. If you look at some of these video clips, you can see that it's very modernish, very white. Some of the concrete materials that you're seeing over here look actually like it looks pretty good. And in some cases, if you look at footage of it, you might actually, mistake it for reality in some case. I mean, not really. The fact that it's overly saturated is a dead giveaway, but you get the point. Combining texture packs, resource packs, and shader packs in amongst all of these combinations, you can end up getting a Minecraft that looks light years ahead of what it ever looked like. Now, the cost of this is incredibly computationally expensive. Now, these aren't the only shaders on the block. There are various other creators that have their own implementations. These are the ones that I use. Now, to understand, the important part of sleeping in virtual reality with these shaders is that you have to have a high enough frame rate, and you have to have a good enough resolution for all of this to be worth it. If the resolution is too low, the actual virtual reality looks incredibly fuzzy. And if the frame rate is too low, well, you're just asking to throw up in that virtual reality world. See, the whole point of virtual reality is you have to have constant fluidity. Frame rate issues complicate that. So the way that I ended up achieving this was I ended up running the game at a low resolution and then upscaling it through, third-party upscalers and then getting a somewhat clean image. It wasn't perfect, there are problems, but for the most part, and for my case, it's good enough. See, by running the game at a low resolution and upscaling it, I'm able to get proper playable frame rates, which is basically all I need to achieve this. Now, at the end of the day, this isn't the only ray tracer like I said. Minecraft has official ray tracing in the form of NVIDIA's RTX. Now, RTX is a technology that you've probably heard of if you're in the graphic sphere. A lot of big budget games like Cyberpunk 2077 use it, and regardless of what we can say about that game, one thing is for sure, running that game on max settings with ray tracing enabled is light years ahead of any other game right now as far as I can go. It just looks great. Now, how ray tracing works in this case, or path tracing global illumination, is basically light will bounce across any obstacle that you see. Now, this creates data, right? And this data can be used to simulate audio, simulate visual effects like ray tracing shadows or ray tracing reflections, and various things. Up until a few years ago, this was like undoable, okay? Nobody was going down this path. Now with NVIDIA graphic cards and AMD graphic cards, these GPUs have ray tracing elements built onto them, which makes doing a lot of these computations a lot easier in the long run. Now, in the case of the Sonic Ether shaders that I'm using, there is no benefit from the graphic card's hardware ray tracers to assist this. That's because the implementation used here does not benefit from the ray tracing cores from any of these GPUs. Now, if you use NVIDIA's RTX Minecraft, yeah, then it gets a full benefit. But because that's a bedrock version of Minecraft, modifying it becomes a chore. Running VR on it becomes a chore. So there's like trade-offs to how you implement virtual reality and ray tracing. What I'm showing you is a version that works for me. However, it's not perfect. When I first got this running, I was looking at frame rates around 10 to 15, which isn't even playable, okay? It's not even on the league of being playable. So what I had to do was really sit down, optimize setting by setting, and find that sweet spot, if you will, where the game was playable, and once I achieved that high enough frame rate, I was able to slip on a virtual reality headset and actually play with it. Now, as far as virtual reality headsets go, this is its own rabbit hole to go down. Now, to understand, a virtual reality headset will cost you a few $100s, so this becomes somewhat of an expensive hobby. Now, if you're going to buy a computer that's going to run ray tracing, that already costs you a fair penny. But to have a good virtual reality headset, that's going to cost you some money as well, too. Now, I'm using a Oculus Rift S, and I understand it's all Facebook and everything, but I run everything through a virtual machine anyways. It's not like it's the end of the world. All Zuckerberg's getting out of me is the fact that I play Minecraft and I sleep in it for hours at a time. And I'm not really that worried. However, going back to the whole, headset argument, you can go and get yourself a Valve Index. You can get yourself what are they called? The HTC Vives from Valve. And if you want, there are plenty of Windows WMR headsets like Windows Mixed Reality. I think there's a good HP one that's out too. Honestly, in this case, I would recommend really researching a good headset, okay? Because it's going to cost you a few hundreds of dollars of anyways. So at this point, you really need to sit down and do some of the research for yourself, okay? And that's pretty much where I'm going to leave it. Once you have a good enough computer and you have a good enough headset for all of this, you can then start to implement these ray tracing effects and start doing what I do. But I actually have a couple of alternate things that you can do, alternate games, where you can get the same effect for far less of the computational cost that I'm going through. Again, this is like an extreme end. Ray tracing VR Minecraft to sleep in is something that only extreme idiots like me do. There are smarter ways to handle this, and we'll get to that towards the tail end of this video. Minecraft goes from a simple block game to basically reality, okay? The closest you're gonna get to like reality right now in VR, okay? In my opinion, at least. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I used a combination of all this and building my own Minecraft mansions with my own little universe, and basically I put the headset on at night, I lay in bed, and I pass out. Now, to understand, the visuals help me, but the Minecraft soundtrack also helps me too. And given the fact that I tie the game's like timer to my system time, I wake up as if it's literally following a real day. You know what I mean? Like, my eyes open, I see the sun coming through my Minecraft mansion. I go to bed, I see the stars above. That's how I sleep. And then I also set the game to run in rain because rain is always helping out when it comes to sleeping anyways. Now, the reason I did all this is dramatically, in my experience, reduced the amount of sleep paralysis that I get. So for those of you who don't know what sleep paralysis is, I suffer it a lot, okay? Like, I used to really get really bad attacks. So I've been going through this nightmare for years. Basically, what sleep paralysis is your body is kind of like in this state where you're sleeping, but you're also partially awake. So you know that you're awake. You know that you have consciousness, but you just can't like move your arms and legs. It's difficult. In my experience, moving my arms and legs, you try, but you can't. You are completely paralyzed from the neck down. It is a scary situation. What makes it even scarier than that, though, is let's assume that since you're dreaming, of course, since you're in that halfway state, your dreams start to permeate your sleep paralysis. So you might have heard things like my sleep paralysis demon or people talking about the situation. So I'll give you a good example, a very common example. If I'm laying on my chest, which is usually how I fall asleep anyways, right? It's a 50-50 toss-up whether I'm on my back or I'm on my chest, depending on how wild the night got before. What'll happen is if I'm on my chest during a sleep paralysis attack, I get the notion and feeling that, okay, I can't move my arms and legs or anything. I'm starting to hear weird stuff. It kind of sounds like CCTV footage. And then I feel fingers on the back of my neck. Now, immediately I'm thinking, oh boy, I'm going to get my neck snapped like Sam Fisher, okay? It's not going to be a good time. To understand, that's the nightmare that I've gone with. Now, to also re-clarify, it's also the reason why I have some of these dark circles around my eyes. I'm not that good with sleep. I'm actually scared of sleeping a lot of times. Of course, it's also genetics as well. You know, God bless, being Indian, a lot of us with the sunken eye look, it's common as fuck over there. But ladies and gentlemen, that's generally the nightmare that I've went with. And ever since I've been sleeping in Minecraft for months on end, I have not been going through as many sleep paralysis attacks. To understand, it still happens from time to time. However, where it used to be like every other night, or even some cases almost every night, it now has become a situation for me where I'm only getting it every like 4 or 5 days, basically once a week at this point. I think I'll never be free from this situation. There's just something wrong with me. There's just something that I have to live with. But the fact that I've lessened it, in my opinion, in my experience to this degree, has already given me a new lease on life. I feel way better already now that I can actually sleep without that fear of like going into a paralysis state. Okay, yeah, it'll still happen, but it's not as common as it ever once was. Now, I have to attribute this to my radically different Minecraft sleeping regimen, and I'm actually going to start weaning off of it, ladies and gentlemen. I think 6 months is long enough. I initially thought that I was going to make a sleeping in Minecraft for a year video, but I don't think it's ever going to get to that, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I just recently moved to this place. Now, ever since I moved, something to really note and understand is I had to break that nightly ritual of sleeping in Minecraft. Mostly because when I was moving, I got rid of my gaming computer setup. I had it packed and set up to move to this house, and so that broke everything. Now, ever since I've done that, ever since I moved into this place, I started to re-sleep in Minecraft. I started to bring back that ritual. But like all things, I'm going to wean it off. You know, if I don't need it, I don't need it. And honestly, I don't think it's entirely healthy to be sleeping with a screen connected to your eyeballs. Now, with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, one game that I really should have mentioned all this time was, instead of Minecraft, there's also other things like VR chat. If you've never used VR chat, basically the idea is you can connect to a bunch of like social services, like social spaces, like clubs, you know, like parks, whatever you can imagine people have made on VR chat. It's also less graphically demanding, and it'll get the job done. I actually, because of the entire lockdown and pandemic, one of the coolest things that VR chat has allowed me to do is socialize with people. I've literally had watch parties on this entire application. There was one night where I watched the movie Hackers with Angelina Jolie with a bunch of other nerds through VR chat, and it was a fun, honest, wholesome experience. Honestly, I look at VR not as a gaming method. Like, I don't really like playing games on VR just because I don't really like to interact that much. I mean, I usually play JRPGs anyways, and none of them are really in virtual reality. I look at VR as sort of a way to explore worlds or communicate with other individuals. I mentioned Dot Hack as an anime, and I honestly imagine once this technology becomes more portable and becomes more efficient, then maybe we'll see a day where we'll actually be able to utilize virtual reality in a much more like easy to use manner. I mean, imagine if these goggles and these head-mounted devices become a lot more easier to wear, and again, way more affordable. Right now, their prices are through the roof. And again, I wouldn't recommend this as a medical alternative at all. None of this should be taken as medical information. You should always consult medical professionals to ask them what you should do about sleep paralysis, really any medical, thing that's going on in your life. I will say this is a positive experience for me. This worked for me. Again, that's just for me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think there's also a case to be made with virtual reality that I think should be looked into. I don't know if this is being looked into right now from a medical perspective, but the concept of therapy and just, general, just general healing would be an interesting method to look at with virtual reality. I recently watched a video of a mother who actually lost their child, who reconnected with them through virtual reality. I mean, all of it was, of course, fake, but, at some point when you have a situation like that, it may actually provide some level of closure. I mean, honestly, a video like that brought tears to my eyes. I don't want to dig that hard into it, but it really got me thinking about how virtual reality is headed to. And a lot of these companies that have invested millions of dollars into virtual reality, like Facebook, are looking at it from a metaverse perspective. Now, if you don't know what a metaverse is, basically they want to build a world on top of a world. So in the future, when we all have augmented reality goggles, the idea is that we'll all get to share the metaverse together. So basically, you'll all get to have some level of a Minecraft house in some capacity. And while that's an interesting way to go forward, I'm also kind of weirded out because it seems really cyberpunk and dystopian in the future too. But with all of that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's interesting to see where this technology is headed to and, how things are going to effectively play out. For now, though, I've slept in Minecraft for 6 months. Will I continue with this? I hope to not do it any longer, okay? Again, if I can wean off it, great. And if my sleep paralysis tends to rise, which I honestly hope it doesn't, I've developed a regimen, I've developed a sort of schedule, if you will. And I think at this point, I feel better. I genuinely do feel better because of this experiment. It might have been the best accident to ever happen to me. And I also want you to get a glimpse of some of the atmosphere that you get. I also have other worlds where, for instance, I can stand on a balcony and just look down on the ground and just be in the rain. Just listen to this for a little bit. So yeah, that's sort of my 6-month update, and this will be the last sort of Minecraft sleep update ever, okay? I hope to God I don't rely on this. I don't want to make it to a year. I don't want to become dependent on it, so I'm probably just going to keep it down to once a week, sort of as like a weekend getaway retreat kind of deal for me, okay? I'm never going to completely give it up because it is such an enjoyable experience, but I think the time to end sleeping in Minecraft is finally upon me. But I have to say, positively, it's made life a whole lot better. Who would have figured it out, ladies and gentlemen? Who would have figured out a happy accident on PlayStation VR would have led me down an absolutely positive rabbit hole? Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.